All right, Courtney, it's time for the battle of the sequels. I have already rattled some chains out there by making the take that these are better than the original. That's how I pushed this to you, too. I said, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I got two movies I think are better than the original that you got to watch that fits the Ghost movie project. And it's Poltergeist 2 and Exorcist 2. Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Those
think
were
they
some
are.
bold claims that you made there. Some promises were made. I had not seen either of these before we picked
Now,
these movies.
I do think they are superior to the originals. And I know there's people out there right now that clutching their crucifix and their Criterion Collection copy of the first Exorcist. Take a deep breath. All right. But we're going to go beyond the veil tonight and kind of dig a little deeper into these two great sequels that not a lot of people have seen. And to me, right off the bat, you look at them and you see the main characters from the first movies in these sequels.
Yeah.
You don't get that a lot nowadays, it seems like, or there was a time when the sequels were kind of just, they're not going to be good. So let's kind of cast a B-rate actor, you know, but this, no, you've got everybody coming back. You got Joe Beth Williams, Diane Freeling. You had Steve, Craig T. Nelson. I love Craig T. Nelson. We're going to get into that too. Why? And some of the things I saw Craig T. in here that led to some later career of his. We also got Carol Ann coming back.
Mm-hmm.
That's Heather O'Rourke.
Yeah.
And how do you come back and play this role again?
I know.
Right?
At such a young age, I always thought that even growing up. And see, I came from it's a good thing we're talking about sequels because I came from the era of Land Before Time. There was nothing like the original Land Before Time, you know, and so as a kid, I got right out the bat, I was skeptical of sequels, always. I'm like, you know, they made Land Before Time 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20, whatever. And I was like, no, see, no, no. So it was original or nothing. And so I don't think I ever watched Poltergeist 2 for that reason. I think I was always like, nope, can't be as good. Can't be. I'm not even going to give it a chance.
I'm not going to ask you just right off the top how you compare Poltergeist 1 and 2. I don't want to know that, but what I do know is that Poltergeist 1 was pretty much a one of a kind. Like it came out of nowhere. It's a suburban nightmare. Like literally, that's what it was. It was a suburban nightmare. You had the TV static, the clown dolls, the iconic line, "They're here," right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
the sequel's got a whole lot more layers, I think, in depth to it. It also gives us Reverend Kane, who I think is the most terrifying ghost preacher this side of the astral plane, believe it or not. This guy's
Yeah.
creepy, right?
He really,
He shows up. That one scene there when he shows up, and then Taylor says, "That's him. That was him." I was like, "Whoo!" It gave me chills. I was like, "Oh, that's wild. Like that's
yeah.
like who
Yeah.
you know." So that's a great scene to me. Reverend Kane though, he scares me. He scares me every time he pops up. He scares me.
Yeah. Yeah. The stories behind the set are that Heather Rourke cried the first time she saw him,
Yeah,
burst into tears because his physique, he was unfortunately dying of cancer, which
yeah.
gave him a real skeletal type look, which ended up, I mean, they leaned into it. That was perfect for the role. He did a great job of being very unnerving, just unnerving to look at him, to his voice, his speaking,
Yep.
everything. Yeah.
That's Julian Beck. That's the actor's name. He died
Hmm.
not long after the movie, I think. He was battling cancer. Put on just, to me, what is an underrated iconic role because, once again, this is the sequel. Not a lot of people have seen it, believe it or not. But he did put on just a terrifying performance. Like, it's whoever the casting director was, saw him and were like, that's it. Don't need to see anybody else. We're good here. And wrapped it up, went and ate lunch, you know? So
Yeah.
this was it was scary. He's like he's the embodiment of spiritual rot. Like he feels
Yeah.
on screen, like he takes the presence up and it feels like the real actor that played Carol Ann O'Rourke, she would have been
Yeah.
scared. Like, I would have been
You can
scared.
sense it, right? Even the first scene where she sees him at the mall and, he's talking to her, her face, I don't think that was acting. I mean,
No,
she's a good little actor for a little girl. She's excellent, but I got the sense that she was looking at him like, "Do I really have to talk to this person?" I'm terrified. She
I
did
did
good.
too. He
Oh,
does. He's got this almost, I hate to say it, I won't say that, but he's almost got a presence over the whole film. He almost overtakes the whole film, but it's his character that overtakes the film. I just want to say that because the strong performances of Craig T. Nelson, Joe Beth Williams, Heather O'Rourke, we've already mentioned, like those are so strong too that this movie can't happen without the main actors. If you put other actors in these roles
uh-huh.
and they recast these or did whatever Hollywood did back then, this is not this good of a movie.
Right. Yeah. I always look for that with a sequel. Did they get the same people back? Because if they didn't agree to come back, then you're like, you're skeptical that they didn't believe in it, right? That maybe the script or whatever it was, the budget wasn't there. So I always do look to see if the actors come back. And then I'm like, all right, I'll give it a chance if they came back to do it again. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think a strong story and script probably brought them back. Like I said, there are layers to this. Poltergeist 2 is not just about ghost. It's about ancestral trauma, which you know a lot about. You've done episodes of Practically Magic on ancestral trauma.
Absolutely.
You got spiritual warfare, cosmic dimensions. There's all this weirdness going on. And then you meet Taylor, this Native American. He guides the Freeling family through the metaphysical muck, if you want to call it that. And really, he takes over the movie because you've got this guy on screen who I'm assuming he's a Native American in real life. Will Sampson was a Native American, and you can just the things that he says, some of the quotes that he has, you're like, that's deeper than a movie. Like that's yeah, and
That's probably my favorite part about the movie. And I was a little bit worried. When I saw the opening, it was filmed in Arizona. They show the Arizona desert and it shows they're going through a ritual. There's fire. Something spiritual is happening. I was a little worried, especially because of the time that this movie was filmed. I thought, okay, are we going to do the whole Indian burial ground, ghost story type of thing? Because a lot of Native American culture was dragged through the mud with that kind of rhetoric, which is like, oh, don't disturb an ancient Indian burial ground and then you'll be cursed and all this. And that was played up a lot back in the day. So I was a little worried. I was concerned. I'm like, oh no, are we going to be playing up that kind of story? And then to find out that it's really about the spiritual aspect of the Native American culture coming to save these people from what is very much pointed at a more like a Christian cult influence of the Reverend. So you have this sort of like paganism, spirituality, indigenous people practice spirituality kind of being revered on a higher level of being able to come in and cleanse the space of something that's going on that's a different kind of influence, right?
I mean, he's not just a plot device. Like he's not just something that got stuck into this movie as a plot device. Like you're saying, he's the spiritual anchor for this thing.
Right.
He teaches us that ghosts aren't just echoes; they're unfinished stories and that kind of stuff. So I think he actually says that. But like, that's deep. That's very
Yeah.
deep.
And helping reawaken the empowerment of the family themselves. That was kind of his whole, like, I'm not coming in to rescue you guys. I am here to awaken what's in you to battle this dude, this evil presence in your life. Like, you have it. He says to the dad, when he's like, you need to assume responsibility for your warrior path because you already are a warrior. You've already chosen that path. It's already yours. But I'm here to tell you, like, step in, like, step up. Right.
Because he's telling them that this is not just a ghost. This is something that's haunting his entire bloodline. Like it's
Right.
not
And if
going
they
anywhere.
leave, it won't fix it. Like they're trying to run in the car. They're like, bye. And he's like, won't do any good.
Really, it's not. This is not a haunted house movie like the first one. This is really saying that the soul itself is haunted. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You had Diane float into the light, rescue Carol Ann. It's not just
Yeah.
a rescue, it's a rebirth. Remember that? Like, it
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
yeah. So this, unlike the first one, like I said, it's just levels to it
Yeah.
that
Yeah. It
are
dives
out.
into the whole idea that spirituality is not just this dark entity or force. Like the first movie was very much like, if there's life after death, it's coming for you. Like
Yes,
this dives into a whole other realm of, yes, there's more than the scene. There's more out there. There's more that we can understand. And there's so much to it it's not just light and dark. It's gray and all of the things and it's everything.
exactly. There's a horror movie sequels get a bad rap because most of the time they're, cash grabs.
Yeah.
But this movie, I don't feel like it was a cash grab because they
Mm-mm.
added new elements to it. What happens after the haunting ends? Can trauma echo across dimensions? Like I said earlier, is what else? Is an evil spirit of thought, or a swarm of locusts?
Absolutely. Yes. I talk about that a lot because I'm always like, all right, so you cannot believe in, the spiritual, you cannot believe in ghosts, you cannot believe in entities, but how much are we haunted with our own beliefs, our own negative patterns that are sometimes generational, ancestral, passed into us. And so you don't have to say it's some entity outside of our body. It's within us. And that is when I think horror movies tap into the psychological too, where it's like, how much are you feeding into this? Kind of like the way that the beast
Mm,
or the reverend or he calls him the beast, I think. But how much is he like preying upon your weaknesses? I mean, the dad right off the bat, played by Craig T. Nielsen, he right off the bat, he's kind of a hothead. He's got
yes,
this temper, right? And he's like, I don't believe in any of this and this and that. And this is stupid. Which I mean, I have to say, when it's a sequel, I kind of want to reach into the TV and be like, dude, don't you remember what happened in the last movie?
yeah. Like, why are
How do
you
you not
repeating
believe
it?
it?
Why are you repeating some of this? Yeah, that's how I feel too. Let me talk about Craig T. Nelson because you just hit it. He's a hothead.
Hmm.
Now, this movie, what was this? 86
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Poltergeist 2? This was, to me, this is Craig T. Nelson coming out as what he would become a star and known as early on in his career, because he's done other stuff too. But he became Coach Hayden Fox on Coach, the TV show.
Yep. That's what I
There
know
are
him from.
so many, and it wasn't long after that he landed that key role that boosted his career. I mean, that show went 9 seasons and was at the top of the top, for a while. I love that show. It's one of my favorites. I put it on. I've seen it a million times. But I see a lot of Hayden Fox coming out, and it's not so much Freeling. It's not so much, what's his name? Freeling on, what's his first name on Poltergeist?
Steve.
Steve. He's not so much Steve, but he's Hayden Fox. And you start seeing that because it is Hayden Fox, coach of Minnesota State Screaming Eagles, a fake, football franchise that they've made for TV. And he is the All-American, man's man, alpha, all that kind of stuff. So you see some of that acting come through here. And I got to say that kind of perked me up because I'm a huge Craig T fan. And I love that TV show Coach. So when he said, there was a couple of lines he said, I'm like, oh, hang on there, Craig, hang on there. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're still in Poltergeist. Wait a minute now. But that was right before his breakout. And yeah,
Yeah.
you could really see you could see a jump in his acting from Poltergeist 1 to this one. And that's
Hmm.
why I love this movie too, is I'm a huge Craig T fan.
Yeah. It's just interesting to me that I remember him from the first movie being like this worn out,
Yeah.
he was like, yeah, so come on in. My house is full of flying objects. It's just kind of, this is just what life is like right now. He's just totally worn down. And in this one, he's a little more revved up and like you hear, mom, Diane, the voice of reason. She's like, be open-minded.
Yeah.
Let's just try it. Let's just see what this Taylor guy has to offer us. And then butterflies show up and they're like, wow, he's really in tune with nature. I just love it.
And when she's saying that, it's not a lot different than what Christine does on Coach in trying to tell him to have the open mind. So that's where I was like, wait a minute, this is the emergence of Hayden Fox and a real, I mean, to me, an A-list actor at this point. Like he broke off of this, got out of the movie making business really, and went to Coach and did 9 seasons, 199 episodes of Coach. That's a success.
Yeah.
That's a successful show. And not only that, though, but he did have one of the wildest scenes in Poltergeist 2 when he's doing a little drinking. He's got the tequila.
Yes.
That's a wild one.
Oh my gosh.
That worm scene, oh my gosh. Like, basically, he drinks a worm, vomits a demon, and it's where body horror and spiritual infection kind of collide. Have you ever drank a worm?
No, I thought that was a joke. I thought tequila doesn't really have a worm in it, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw that scene, I was like, oh, he's going to swallow it. He's going to swallow it. And it's got the creature, it's the beast. It's going to go in him and he's going to be possessed. And I mean, you just saw it all happening. Like before it happened, I was anticipating what was going to happen. And then, the vomit scene. I think in interviews, he said that was the worst one to film because they had to do it over and over and over again. It was awful. But then having veteran Noble Craig was a triple amputee playing the creature after he throws it up and it like morphs and grows into this thing and it's kind of Voldemort, I don't know, creature-esque. And then it like crawls out of the room. So good. It was my favorite.
I love that scene. And the weird thing about this movie, the great thing about this movie, not weird. Weird is good. So yeah, sure. But the great thing about this movie is there are multiple scenes that when you see a movie, you watch a horror movie, you can go to people and you can say, oh, you remember that scene? And it's always defined. Like, what that scene or the scene is. If you said that about this movie here, you could be talking about 3 or 4 different things because you got the braces scene.
Yes.
That could be a that scene. You got the worm scene, that's a that scene. There's multiple scenes that stand out to me. And it's just this wild trip that you're taking while they're telling these and weaving all these stories together. I don't think I have to make any more points of why I like this one better than the first one, but I do.
But we have to talk about the behind the scenes, the curse of the Poltergeist, that several of the actors passed away. Either the girl playing the teenage daughter, Dana, in the first movie, passed away between that and the second movie, murdered by her boyfriend. So sad.
And they chose not to recast her and just didn't mention it.
And they just didn't. Yeah, there was actually supposed to be in the script a conversation where they talk about her going to university, but they never filmed it. And so it didn't get explained, which is too bad. It would have been nice to just have that little throwback to like, where's sister? Well, she's doing great in college or whatever, you know, just have that throw to her. Of course, the Reverend passed away, as we talked about. And then the little girl, Heather O'Rourke, and Will Sampson playing Taylor passed away not long after the movie was filmed, and, just health complications and whatnot. But there is a lot to be said for the fact that in Poltergeist 1 and 2, when they used bodies, they used actual real bodies.
Skeletons, bodies.
Didn't tell the actors. So here's, Jo Beth Williams playing Diane, the mom. Remember in the first movie, she was swimming in a swimming pool with dead bodies, not knowing that they were real because it was cheaper than to have special effects make them, which Poltergeist 2 actually was nominated for an Oscar for special effects. So, I mean, good on them. But yeah, to have that kind of like vibe of the horror movie wasn't just the horror movie that they were filming, but it was also the horrors of filming this movie that they created. And Will Sampson playing Taylor, he was an actual shaman in real life. And so they had him come on set and do a exorcism, have him cleanse the set. They actually had to do it when they excused everybody from filming. He had to come and do, kind of his thing, which is a lot like what Reiki masters and other types of shaman do, is to come and clear energies and to break curses and to just clean out anything that is still stuck energy from whatever might have happened with those souls of the
Yeah.
bodies that they were using in the movie. You never know.
You know what?
Just a good idea.
You know what? The poltergeist curse must have ended right there, and that's when Craig T didn't get caught up by it because he went on to make
Yes, good.
199 episodes.
Glad that it didn't catch him because, I mean, just how tragic. And for so many people that were involved in the movie to know each other and they probably got to know each other, as a cast, and to have so many of them pass away so young and tragically, I'm just, my
Maybe,
heart goes out to them for that.
maybe when Reverend Kane is at the door, giving one of the most chilling monologues ever in ghost movies. I've already kind of referenced it, but when he says, "You're all gonna die,"
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
that was the curse. Maybe he put it on it, and
A little bit. Maybe a little bit. Yeah.
yeah, like that's
Something
the
was going on there.
yeah,
Wasn't the singing too just a stroke of like someone's genius to have him singing? It's like a Bible song. I don't even know what it is, but he's like, singing about the temple of God.
yeah,
And
yeah.
every time he starts singing that song, it's like, woo, chilling.
It's the lyrics. I had them at one point, but I don't have them right now. But yeah, they are. If you really pay attention, yeah, it's there. There's another cool scene too that you got. When Diane levitates and rescue that whole scene. We didn't even really get into it. We mentioned it, but there's some symbolism there of maternal power,
Mhm.
motherly love, rebirth. Like it's all right there. How do you see
Yeah.
that playing in? How do you see that as being a part of some of this?
Talk about generational. I mean, generational can be, some of the burdens that we carry from generational trauma and things like that. But here we have like the beginning scene where the grandmother is asking Carolyn to hand her yarn, and she's like, "Give me the yellow yarn." And Carolyn just grabs it and gives it to her without looking. And the grandmother starts to notice this little girl has some gifts. She's powerful. And come to find out, so does Diane, but she has maybe shut those gifts off. Like, imagine how powerful Diane would have been in the first movie had she known about her gifts, had known about her spiritual gifts, and that she would have tapped into that and been, not so helpless and needing to bring in help and to be like, how do I get my daughter back? But to be like, I have the power to do this. I have the power to go beyond realms and to open portals and to get my daughter back because that's my gift. That's my power. So it is this very like maternal, but it's passed down from the grandmother to the mother to the daughter, and they're all connected in this really powerful spiritual way. And they're like the ones that hold the family together. So as Taylor's talking about, it's love, the love you have for each other that's going to get you through this. You have to tap into that. You cannot be angry at each other. You cannot give in to the weaknesses that the beast is bringing up in you. I mean, unfortunately, the dad does give into it a little bit. I mean, his drinking problem leads him to drink the worm, which makes him possessed. But it's kind of the women in this movie that are like holding it all together. They're like,
They are.
we're going to get through this. And then it's the grandmother, this again in the spiritual realm, that brings the daughter back and, rescue.
Family as a spiritual unit is not much different than modern day religions. If the family is all a part of that religion, they're stronger together. No different than a coven.
Mhm.
A coven
Right.
of witches are going to be stronger than a witch by herself. Am I wrong?
So says Agatha all along on the Witch's Road. We need all of us.
Let me ask you about this though. 'Cause there's a lot of psychic abilities in children in movies through the all of the years. Carrie.
I
I
know.
mean, Carrie was one. You think about that.
Yeah.
So Carrie was way before Poltergeist. The Fury, that was even before Poltergeist. You
Yeah.
got Matilda even.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
We're going to
there's
see
other
in
movies.
even more movies that we're going to be doing on the Ghost Movie Project. There's a lot with kids
Yeah,
involved.
so in that situation though, the Carol Ann or the kid with that ability, they're not a victim, they're a conduit, right? Like they are taking it in, and if, like you said, if she would have known about that in Poltergeist 1, about the actual not being a victim but being a conduit, could have been a whole
Mhm.
different outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it was Tangina, Zelda Rubinstein's character, that,
Love her. Love her.
and one of the only critiques I have is that she was cut out. She was filmed a lot more in Poltergeist too, but her scenes were cut out more. So she wasn't in it as much as she was supposed to be, unfortunately for her. But it was her coming in and being like, "Okay, mother, you've got this. I'm going to show you how, but you have the power. You can do this. You've got to reach in and get your daughter. Like you have this." I think it was kind of that shadow of that still carrying over into Poltergeist 2, where she's like, "It's you that's got to do this. You've got to be there for your daughter."
Now,
And I think it's really important to note that in all of these circumstances you're talking about, Carrie, in all of them, if the children had guidance in their abilities, they are powerful and empowered to do what needs to be done. When the children don't have the guidance, it's terrifying, right? Which is a mirror of real life. There are a lot of really, really gifted children, especially children, because I think they haven't been preconditioned yet to block off their abilities and to doubt themselves and to have that shut off. So when you're children, you're more intuitive, you're more open to it. A lot of us have abilities we don't realize we have because we probably shut them off when we were children. But I love this contrast of, like, Carol Ann can be, she can be nurtured in her abilities with the right guidance and the right, her mom coming in and saying, "You have it, I have it, your grandmother had it, we can use this for good," versus like Carrie,
right?
as an example, would be like somebody who was told, "You're bad, you need to shut off your abilities, you need to repress, and be ashamed of it." And then she ends up, I don't know, murdering a whole high school.
That's wild. She did. You just said it so nonchalantly too. Like, that's threw me off guard. Speaking of murders, how many murders or violent crime or violent fatalities, violent whatever, happened in Poltergeist 2? In Poltergeist 2. 0. There were none.
Yeah.
Think about it. There were none on camera. There was no murder. There was none of that.
Yeah. Unless you count the Reverend murdering his entire cult. But
Well, yeah. But we don't.
that
we're not gonna-
supposedly happened in the past.
yeah, that
We
doesn't
cover it.
count for now. That doesn't count for now.
Okay.
Give
We
us,
won't count.
as we wrap up this movie here, and I got to also throw this out here. If you didn't get enough of Poltergeist, there is a Poltergeist 3.
Mm-hmm.
There is one. There is a 3. And Heather O'Rourke came back. She's back into that one too.
Yeah. Which
That's
means
when-
she really, she got those movies all filmed before she had those health concerns. And I was a little bit amazed by that because I didn't realize how long she had been able to work and do that.
Carol Ann comes back. You got Zelda's back. She's back in the third one. And then Tom Skerritt makes his debut in Poltergeist series. Tom Skerritt, if you don't know who that is, he's the chest burster. He's the one that gets the first alien out of his chest in Alien, Ridley Scott's 1979. Classic. We're going to do that film one of these days. Just because.
I know.
Because.
We'll have to squeeze it in.
As we wrap up this movie, first of all, are there any more things you want to jump into on this movie before we...
Throwback to Zelda, who was in Teen Witch from last year's Witch Movie Project.
Yes.
Would have loved to meet her. She's amazing. And I've always loved Jim Carrey's impression of her in Ace Ventura when he comes in and says, "This house."
Yes.
Her voice is just iconic. I absolutely love her. But yeah, I just wanted to point out too, as we talk about paranormal connections to these fictional movies and the real life paranormal activity. When they named the movie Poltergeist, the definition of poltergeist and what this movie actually is, this is more of a haunting, more of a possession than an actual poltergeist, because usually when they define poltergeist, it's moving of objects and energy related to living people. So a lot of times when poltergeists have been researched, it's because there is a highly intuitive, maybe highly emotional, I'm just going to say it, usually a teenager living in the house, and some of the paranormal activity of like objects flying around is due to a living person and the energy that they connect with. So that just makes it a little bit different than what this movie is portraying. So although we we're like, yay, Poltergeist the movie. I just point out that an actual poltergeist is a little different.
It's time right now. I'm just throwing this on the spot. I act like this is a big deal, but it's give me some witchy wisdom then on what you would do if this type of haunting happened to you. If people out there have experienced something like this, what do you do?
Actually, I love the show Dead Files, psychic medium that goes through and they've researched the hauntings of places, and they use a private detective to do all of the background. I love that show, but what I love about it is that at the end of every episode, when the family of the house is like, okay, so we have these entities living in our house, or we have these things. What do we do? And she's always like, go find a spiritual leader, either in your community, whatever your religious beliefs might be, a rabbi or a person. But she has been more and more recommending a Reiki master. And I love that because whether you're looking out to someone who's a shaman or a Reiki master, someone who's skilled and trained and knows what they're doing, hopefully, to be able to come into a space and kind of get an idea of what is this kind of entity that you're looking at, and then how to clear it so that you can get some help if you have objects flying around your house, perhaps, or your house was built on an old cemetery and they forgot to move the bodies.
Hey, you know what? I forgot to mention this. I did my farm the farm that I grew up on. We did have a Indian mound. It wasn't a burial mound, but we did have an Indian mound, and my grandfather probably walked up and down all of that area and got so many arrowheads and Native American just objects that were there, and it was incredible. But I lived right on a mound, but it wasn't that kind. It wasn't a burial mound, luckily, because
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I could have handled all that stuff going on.
Well, what I love about this movie is just the throwback to old ancient practices of indigenous people, is that nature is really powerful and the connection to the land itself is really powerful. I love that they show that Taylor's character is showing that you've got to gain wisdom and you've got to gain some sort of connection with your ancestors, but also the land itself in order to get that help with this clearing of energy that you need.
Incredible stuff right here. This Poltergeist to the Other Side. I don't even think we mentioned that. Like, it's called The Other Side.
The Other Side, which is
Yeah.
a Celtic, the other worlds, they call it a Nuven.
All right. I like that. So before we get to the next movie, let's jump to this right here. I'll figure out how to splice that together. It can just that was fun, right? You need to do anything before the next one?
Wait, I should probably pull it up.
Yeah, me. Linda Blair.
Because I was not going to watch The Exorcist 1 again. So there were a few details I was a little unsure about. So before we talk about it, who is Sharon to Reagan? So was she there in Exorcist?
Yeah. Yeah, she's in Exorcist 1. Let me see. Let's figure it out.
I couldn't quite tell. I was like, okay, she's important to the family. She's
Tutor.
taking care of
Housekeeper.
Reagan. Housekeeper. Okay.
She's the tutor and housekeeper.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking kind of nanny or something. So yeah, I figured it was probably that, but I wasn't totally sure. And I was like, I'm not watching The Exorcist to find out. So,
No. All right. Yeah. There we go.
Oh, you know what I forgot to say? That's all right. I was going to say about Poltergeist too, that one of the critiques that I had was that in the height climax of the movie, when in the first movie it would have been, being chased around the house and falling into the pool and that part. This time it seemed like the mom, Diane, was being chased by cleaning equipment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every closet that she opened was like a vacuum coming at her or like a broom. And I was like, really? That was one of my criticisms of it, was like,
I'm not sure about that.
not sure about that part. Feels a little subliminal, like the mom's domestic duties possessed cleaning equipment.
All right, now let's talk about The Exorcist 2 Heretic, the movie that made half the audience walk out in 1977 and the other half ascend into some metaphysical confusion, because that's what it was, really. I'm here to tell you, though, whichever way you went, it was a masterpiece. This movie's a masterpiece. I love this movie, but people are torn on it big time.
Mm-hmm.
Big time.
Yeah.
You don't look too happy over there. Are you torn on this already?
To say, I might have to get to a place where I forgive you for making me watch this movie.
No
But that's where
way.
I'm at.
Now this movie's awesome. It's got locusts, telepathy, dream machines, and James Earl
Yeah.
Jones just like a locust shaman,
Mm-hmm.
and 0 exorcisms.
I know.
Yeah, there's not an exorcism in the whole movie. I love this movie though. You had Linda Blair coming back.
Yeah.
Beautiful,
Much
beautiful
to
Linda Blair.
her regret, which I found out later as I was researching things about this movie. I was like, well, she has hated that she was part of this movie. And I mean, I have to hand it to her. She said that she would not do a sequel. I was asked to do a sequel many, many times. And then finally they gave her a script that she was like, all right, I can kind of see a reason why I would do this again. And the script was good enough for her to sign on to it. But then the script changed so much that it was unrecognizable. And I have to agree with her in her criticism of it is that it just feels like there were too many writers, too many people in the pot, too many cooks in the kitchen. And I feel like the locusts, the machine, the Pazuzu story, all of this was like, in and of itself were plot lines that I could see running with, but they were all happening at once. Oh, sorry.
They had multiple writers, I'm sure. That's what had to be what happened.
Yeah. And you could kind of tell. Like, you could kind of tell watching. I was just like, this is a bit of a mess.
Because the evil wasn't just demonic, it's biological, psychic, planetary even.
Yeah.
Like, there's
a hint of, ancient gods, maybe alien, maybe in force of nature, right? With the locusts.
Right. And you find out, like, Reagan, she's not just the survivor, Linda Blair, like, she's the chosen one, right? Like, she's Neo. She's the Matrix before the Matrix.
Yeah.
That's what this movie is. Maybe that's why I like it so much. I just realized that she's Neo. That's what it is.
All the best storylines are in a Christ archetype, right? Like
They
Harry Potter, The Matrix, you have the one, and the one never wants to be the one. And yeah, so it had that going on. It just wasn't, for me, it just wasn't made clear that that's what was going on. I feel like if that was going to be the point, they clouded it too much with so much other stuff that you were like, at the end, you're like, okay, so now she's swinging her thing like the boy does. And for some reason that's doing something.
Hey, I'm not here to...
I had a hard time with it. I'll just be straight up honest. I was like...
I think what made me like this movie was something about the psychic link between the souls, how they were able to... I thought it was a great plot, maybe, I don't know. But I like the sci-fi. I like the out there, but I also like it mixed together with a horror. So it was like... Yeah. For me, this is a buffet of what I like. It's like, it's all right here in one movie. It does feel like multiple movies. There's another movie like that called Spookies. Old movie, and it literally was two movies filmed at different times, and it was a big argument between directors and writers and all that stuff. But if you ever see that movie, you're going to be like, this is like two different movies. It is. Yeah. But they tried to mesh it together.
They're like, we're just going to try to make two movies at the same time and see if we can squish them into something that's recognizable.
There's something about the hypnosis machine, the synchronizer.
Yes.
I love when they sync it up. It's wild. Looks like a lava lamp designed by NASA or somebody. Like it's wild. Like it's pretty cool.
Okay, let me ask you a question about that machine. So it's strobing the light, right? It's putting you into hypnosis. Are we as the audience supposed to believe that it's also making the noise, or is that a sound effect, as in like the music added to the movie?
Because of the tone. They keep saying, get into my tone, bring down to my level.
Okay. So it's actually making that noise as well. So that's part of the hypnosis.
It's actually making the noise. I think it is.
I wondered about that.
You got me
Yeah.
thinking now, though. Maybe they didn't
I
hear the
know.
noise.
Because
Maybe
I
it's
mean,
just
it's like
us.
Jaws, like there's certain music that goes with the intenseness. It increases intensity of the moment and the scene. But we're not actually supposed to believe that, in the water with the shark, there's a cello. And I just wondered if the machine was making that noise or, yeah, what we were supposed to believe about that.
Uh, I think I'll say it was making a noise.
Okay. Well, I do love the idea of, I mean, obviously hypnosis, powerful tool of going into the subconscious. They reached a little bit into science fiction when they said we're going to not only reach into your own subconscious, but into a collective
Yeah.
consciousness. So we're also crossing into each other's. So the therapist is also supposedly connecting to the machine. That's what when I'm watching it, I'm watching her put on the headset. So Reagan has the headset and she puts it on. I'm like, oh, she's putting it on too. What's going to happen here? We're going to go in together. So a little bit of sci-fi, but not, I mean, obviously we don't have a machine that I know of. I mean, that the government has released yet
There you go. Watch out now.
that allows us to do that. But I mean, obviously Jungian theory and all of that, we know that there is a collective consciousness and a collective subconsciousness that we tap into. I mean, a throwback to the other movie from this for this episode is that that's the work of a shaman. The shamans originally were to go into another side of your consciousness. So this is like more science fiction-y version of that, whereas the last movie was more a spiritual version of that.
Big time. And like you said, the Jungian aspect to it as well with the collective conscience, the
That
synchronized.
we're all connected in our consciousness. Yeah.
Are we?
I mean, how much time do you have?
We got some time. We got a little time. I do.
We could discuss the theories of Freud and Jung theories and all of that. As a spiritual person myself, I absolutely think that there is a collective super consciousness and a collective super unconsciousness that we
Yeah.
are all we're all tapped into if we're willing to go there.
What you basically just described the movie is it should just be called a fever dream because that's basically what it is. It's part sci-fi, part theology, part Jungian psychology, right? Dream
Mm-hmm.
logic, astral projection. Didn't they do some astral projection in there? Like,
Yes,
is it
because
that
she
what I
had
saw?
to go to those places in her mind and then tell him where to go. So she knew where the boy was. I didn't write his name down here. Kokumo?
Kukumo, yeah.
Kokumo. I want to go to
Yeah,
Kokomo.
yeah.
It's not a Beach Boys song. Yeah, so she does. She does astral project. The father Phillips, he sees where the guy had fallen years before, which they said they had searched the whole area for his body, and
Yeah,
they somehow missed that one little crevice that his body was trapped in. I don't know. I don't buy that, but
I don't either.
okay.
I think it was a cheap way out for the
He's
writers.
like, here he is. I know where he's at. He's right here. But the spirits, like there's a lot of, again, that tapping into indigenous ancient wisdom of people who were connected to their land. The fact that, the locusts and that Pazuzu is part of the spirits of the air, that came up. So it's like, is he a god or is he a nature spirit? Because in Celtic folklore, we know that those nature spirits are not always pure light and love, right? They can be dangerous. We don't mess with those fae folk, right?
So that's
So,
Pazuzu. Not just a demon, just
yeah,
a force of nature.
force
Does
of
that mean
nature.
Could Pazuzu do more than just the locust then? Could it be other stuff or what?
He seemed to be connected to locusts as the spirit of the air, but
Yeah.
that kind of does play upon the whole, again, like in the last movie, we have a more Christian spiritual come from that's actually kind of labeled as the evil of
Yeah.
that movie
Yep.
versus the heathen indigenous nature wisdom, paganism type of spirituality, which is the hero of that movie. And here we have like demonizing, because it's supposed to be the demon from the first movie that
Yes.
possesses Reagan, but is it really a demon or is it a spirit of the air? Is it a spirit of nature? Right.
What's the difference? Tell me the difference in that. Is there a
Well,
difference?
I think that it's really interesting to play with those ideas in what is it about, like, for example, Christian culture or Catholicism and how they view what possession or demons are, how they view paganism as demonic. It was all lumped into one evil thing. Like if you were a pagan, you also worship the devil.
Exactly. So,
Even though, I mean, in reality, pagans probably don't even believe in a devil. Like
yeah.
that's not even a thing. So
So they
it's
made
just
it good.
interesting to play with those ideas, right?
They made it just a black and white, good versus evil. There was no, it's your one
Yeah.
side or the other then. Like that's,
Yeah. Well, and I will just say from my personal experience in this realm is when it comes to forces of anything, whether you call it a demon or whether you call it a dark entity or whatever it might be, or a negative force of energy, I think that the living people and our emotional connection is more powerful than we are led on to believe.
mm,
So the reason why I think The Exorcist is so scary, and by the way, I will just mention here real quick, I was not going to watch the first one again. I watched it when I was in high school and I was like, never again.
yeah,
I cannot handle it. It's
yeah.
too much. But only because I think the reason it's so scary is it taps into the idea that you're powerless.
Mm.
Demonic, dark entities or whatever. They can possess you, they can get into your body, into your mind, and you can't control it, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I don't think that that's actually true. I think that if there are entities of such force, we as living people are way more powerful than anyone leads us to believe. So we have the power to say, like, no, get out of here. I'm not letting you in. You're not anywhere near my, we can cleanse our spaces. We can protect ourselves. And I think that we're more powerful than they are. So
Maybe we all need a Kokomo, a James Earl Jones,
yeah,
a locust shaman dream guide in our life. Maybe we all need that to help us.
yeah.
Wasn't that a crazy performance?
I know. I didn't even realize he was in this movie, and like watching it, I'm like, okay, so here's a bright shining thing to latch onto that I don't have to criticize about this movie is James Earl Jones. I love him, and I just watched Field of Dreams for the first time.
For the first time, yes, nice. What'd you think about that for the first time?
So good. Talk
Yeah,
about ghost movies. That's a completely different kind of ghost movie.
that's a great ghost movie. That's
That's a
definitely
great ghost movie.
in the realm of ghost movies. I mean, if you build it, they will come. Not all ghosts have to be scary, just the ones that I picked for all these movies that we're doing. That's all.
Yeah, doing a lot of horror movies this time, but Field of Dreams is more my jam. I love horror movies, but when it comes to what do I feel like an association with ghosts would really be like, I think that when we talk about spiritual connection, him playing catch with his dad
Mm,
at the end of Field of Dreams. We
yeah.
weren't planning on talking about Field of Dreams. I'm just throwing it in there. Yeah, that to me is the power of connecting with spirit over like letting in the dark forces and letting yourself be possessed and all of that. So
And you've got a incredible performance by Richard Burton, Father Lamont, trying to
yeah,
keep that from happening. Like that he anytime he's in a scene, I'm locked in. I'm like, oh, this guy's there's something about him. Like I want to hear what he says. I want to watch this. He was
yeah,
he was he has an attraction to him already. And then yeah, him playing that role, you're like, yeah, we better listen to him. Like that's kind of how it felt because once again, you're powerless, like you said, you would be, maybe not in this movie necessarily, but
yeah. I
you
think
would be
this movie
powerless.
kind of taps more into the idea that the healers are the ones being attacked. They're the ones targeted because they are so, I don't know, in the Reiki world, we would call it like filled with the love and light, like the healing energy of love and light. Healers, are tapped into that. They want to heal. They want to help people. They want to, cleanse. So it makes sense that the dark forces would seek those out to target them because, I don't know, if you're evil, I guess you'd want to snuff out the light, right?
Yeah. Let me throw this one on you before we get to the final thoughts on this. But do you think The Exorcist 2 is secretly a spiritual awakening film? Like, is that what it really is? Think about it.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting. So many people didn't like it because they probably loved The Exorcist, and then they came and saw this movie, and they were like, "Where's all that good stuff we were expecting to see?" And I think that the directors and writers, they were like, "All right, so in all fairness, we didn't give the audience what they wanted,
Yeah.
right?" So that's kind of the complaint there. But I think it's because this tapped into more of like if people were being possessed and if the devil was real and if this, this whole existential crisis that Richard Burton's character is going through, he's, does God really exist? Does Satan really exist? And that's kind of his journey too, of
Mhm.
like, how do I find the real light in all of this? So giving audience something a little different than what was the horror movie of the first movie.
Maybe it would have been a great movie if it would have just had a different name.
Yeah. Um, yeah. And I have to say, I love Linda Blair's performance. So I thought she was amazing. She did a great job. And I will say one of my favorite things about this movie is the set.
It's a great set.
Those hexagonal glass pods in the
I want one.
therapist's office. I'm like, it's not real practical for a therapist's office because everybody can see everybody having therapy all around you all the time. And even there's one point where she turns off the light and it's like, yeah, but all of the lights are on around you. So like
Right? Yeah.
everything being glass, but it's amazing. The glass mirror, very like futuristic, very modern looking.
I
I thought
love
it
it.
was pretty incredible.
Your final thoughts. What's your final thoughts on Exorcist 2? I think I already know. Other than wanting 2 hours back of your life.
Yeah, that was my first thought. That wouldn't be my final thought, but that was my first thought. Was like, I'm never gonna get those hours back. When I shut the movie off, that's exactly what I said. You can ask my husband because he was sitting next to me. He's like, I was like, so I'm never gonna get those 2 hours back of my life. So no, that was my first thought. But my final thoughts are, I feel that this movie is kind of a science versus spirituality versus religion. Three of them, the separateness of them, it kind of plays into each of those. So it's kind of a cool look at all of those.
Like that. I could see that. It's like a whole other kind of trinity, let's say,
Yeah.
that they went for.
And actually, James Earl Jones' character is a perfect representation of that, those three things.
Yeah.
Because as Richard Burton's character, Reverend Phillips,
Father
comes
Father
to
Lamont.
Father Lamont, he comes to talk to him. And at first, in his vision, he's seeing this shaman character with the locust, headdress. But when he comes out of his little fever dream, he's a scientist in a lab coat.
Yeah.
So I think that's a perfect like, bam. That's kind of the theme of this movie in a
Great
nutshell.
catch right there. Look at that. Look at that. See? It's
There's
all
a lot
there.
there.
It's all there. There's a story, there's a plot, there's a great movie there. So my final thoughts are, if you're still clinging to the idea that the originals are better than these sequels, go watch these again. Watch them with your third eye open. Isn't that what people do? They got the third eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch them with your third eye open and just take it. You know what? Take it as these movies are an initiation, because that's kind of what it feels like. Like they're trying to initiate you into a new journey
Yeah.
through the soul, myth, madness, whatever they want to say out there. But I think that's what it is. I think you should take another look at these. Maybe you do need to give it another 2 hours, Courtney.
I say it's worth a shot. Try it, watch it. And you know what? Write into me if I'm wrong. Tell me what you think. I'd
Let
love
us
to hear
know.
your thoughts.